Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be building a movie theater in an Art Deco style, and I really wanted to have some sort of celebration video for the channel reaching 200 subscribers, so thank you so much for that. Any interaction that you've had with my channel has really helped it grow, and so I really wanted to make something to commemorate this milestone. So we're making a movie theater that seats actually 200 Sims. There's exactly 200 of these theater chairs, which are from werewolves, so I did make sure that this was functional and that they would be staggered, I suppose. So I'm using a lot of platforms, and since this was going to be such a big space because of how much space Sims actually need to be able to walk through all of these chairs and get to wherever they need to go, this is how I ended up having to lay it out. And one thing that I did to make sure that I was using exactly 200 chairs is that I made this into a library first so that it would count them for me in the requirements panel, and then I just changed it into a cafe, and so it is a functional cafe. So you can take your Sims here on a date or just to spend some time with their friends. Maybe they have a club that's a movie club. So that was the idea behind this build, and I was really excited to use a lot of the stuff from high school years, which I still hadn't used most of the build items so far, so that was pretty cool. And I also enjoyed using this wallpaper from the new Crystal Creations stuff pack, which at first I was unsure of what kind of wallpaper I wanted, and I was looking at reference images, but as soon as I saw this one on the walls, I knew that it was the perfect wallpaper to use. And I also really wanted to use this movie projector that comes with the movie hangout stuff pack, so I sized it up and it has speakers and everything, so even if I didn't add any speakers anywhere else in these big rooms, I mean, I could have added a stereo, but I thought that maybe if I did that there would be music playing and it would be annoying with the film, so I just ended up having this in the end. And I added a ton of those small paranormal wall sconces, which I felt looked perfect in this space. I really enjoyed using gold, and the space that isn't part of the screening room is mostly black and white with those touches of gold and some reds and a few other accent colors. Inside you can see that it is mostly like blue, this kind of purple red color, and gray and some gold. But I felt that they looked well together, especially since that part of this build needed to be dark, but I didn't want it to be too dark that you wouldn't be able to see your Sims. But anyway, I decided to lay it out in a way so that that second floor is accessible from inside that room and also from the outside, and so I decided to have some bathrooms in here. I have restrooms for men and women, and both of them have these toilet stalls that also come with high school years, but I also wanted to have a fake changing table in both of them, as well as some sinks and waste disposal. And outside of that, there's going to be a photo booth, which I thought was pretty cool and really fit the vintage theme that I was going for. But downstairs, I wanted to have this accessible bathroom that was also functional as a family bathroom, so I added a sink that was a bit lower to the ground. I thought about using some counters instead of the sinks, and to also have that changing table be made out of a counter instead of a dresser. But I decided to go with these sinks because they looked deeper, so that if there was a wheelchair user in here, they could slide further towards it. I thought it might be a bit more comfortable this way. I also added, it looks like a handrail or some sort of railing next to the toilet because I had actually knee surgery not too long ago, and I needed to use a wheelchair whenever I was outside. And one thing that I found really annoying was that when the accessible bathrooms didn't have that railing, it was just very hard for my knees to be able to support my body properly. So yeah, I decided to have that, and it really is just a curtain rod. But yeah, I just wanted the look of that because whenever I went to one of those bathrooms that didn't have it, I was so annoyed. I also added a toddler potty and that fake changing table, and there is a regular sink, so it is fully functional in here. And yeah, I just added some more toilet paper next to the toilet and to the toddler potty because that felt like it would be the most useful thing to have in here. Oh, and I also used those towels that seem to be on 2 different levels, which I found really exciting. And outside of that space, there's going to be the cafe area, so there's the coffee bar, and I am using this decoration from high school years that is for the boba shop, but it has some fruit and some storage. Next to it, I added a counter that I felt looked similar to it, or similar enough, because I needed swatches that matched, and so I found that the Home Chef Hustle counters matched the best, and I added a popcorn machine on top of that. And outside there's just some more seating, and I will come back to that. But first I wanted to make sure that the outside of the build made sense, so I have this bump out, which is going to have where you can buy your tickets. I also added these decorations from high school years, so that it looked like there was some architectural detail and also a name for the movie theater. And I also really enjoyed adding this clock from Get Together, which is pretty massive, but I felt that it matched well with this theme. And I also added these archways with just regular bars, so it looks like you can buy your tickets in here, but they are actually just bars. So if you decided to play in this lot, you could hire a bartender so that it would look like somebody was in charge of selling tickets. And so I made sure that when I added a chair behind it, one of them would be closer to the wall so that there would be space for Sims to be in there. But anyway, I also added a door and these fences to section off the different queues. At least my movie theaters normally had that. They don't have them as much now because you can buy your tickets online, but anyway, I felt that it made sense, and I am adding a lot of posters here in this empty wall. I hadn't noticed that if you size up this projector screen, it actually shows up on the other side. It doesn't if you are on a floor that doesn't have that screen, but if you are on the 2 lower floors, you can see it, so I decided to just use these wall decorations that I was using as architectural detailing on the other walls, and I just sized them down and tried to cover it as best I could, and also I had those posters in there. But I also added that a wall with those posters inside, and I really enjoyed having the golden frames on those. I felt that it looked like it was perfect for this space, and I am also using like art piece lighting on top of those, so yeah, I really like that. And I also decided to add a mirror because I didn't have enough posters for this grid to be perfect. I could have repeated one of those because that is something that happens in actual movie theaters, but I decided to have this mirror that has some text on it, and it has a golden frame so that if you were with some friends or by yourself, you could take a selfie and pretend that you were part of a movie. So I thought that was cute, and I also added one of those photo backgrounds from high school years next to it, and I also do have these posters from City Living that are supposed to be for video games, but they are signed, so I was thinking maybe those are old movies, and I felt that it made sense. Even Blick Block, there's like a Tetris movie, so I felt that it could be something like that, like the Blick Block movies. And I also added these posters from the Book Nook kit, which are supposed to be posters for books, but they also have titles, and they also have like people who could be actors. I felt they could also work as movie posters. And then I found this very cool signage in the base game, which has signs for changing tables or toilets. I also added some exit signs, and I thought of using one for coffee, but I remembered that there was a decal in Cats and Dogs that looked similar to the decal that I was already using for the popcorn. That decal is from high school years. It also has like ice cream and other stuff in it, so if you're looking for decals for these kind of community spaces, do look through the swatches of that. But anyway, outside I wanted to have some more food stalls. I am using the ones from the uptown area of San Myshuno, and I felt that it made this lot be a bit less boxy on the sides. And then in the back and on the other side, I have this kind of pergola, and I am adding some benches as well as some tables and chairs, because I was thinking that since this movie theater is so large, or at least the actual screening room is very large, if you were going to actually have 200 Sims, they would need some spaces to wait for their movie to start or to hang out after their movie, so I thought that having some more outdoor seating was cool. And this area is actually where the gym is normally in Windenburg, so they have some really beautiful views. You can just have your Sims sit down in those benches and just look at this beautiful area. But anyway, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to have this up on the gallery, and I will also have it linked in the description. Thank you so much for 200 subscribers, and I hope to see you next time.